Before you listen to these words, make one decision. For the next few minutes, don't argue with what you hear. Don't compare it with your past. Don't measure it against your current circumstances. Just allow yourself to imagine that your greatest breakthrough is not waiting for a new opportunity, a new job, or a new relationship. Imagine that your greatest breakthrough is waiting for a new conversation, the one you have with yourself every single day. Most people believe their future is controlled by the economy, by luck, by other people, or by circumstances they cannot change. But the greatest influence over your life is something much closer than that. It is the voice you hear more than any other voice on earth.
It is the conversation that happens when no one else is around. It is the language you use when you succeed, when you fail, when you are afraid, and when you are alone. Think about this for a moment. If someone followed you throughout the day and repeated every sentence you spoke to yourself, would they hear the language of possibility or the language of limitation? Would they hear confidence or constant criticism? Would they hear hope or would they hear excuses disguised as facts? Every day your mind listens to you. Every hour it records your beliefs. Every moment it takes your repeated words and quietly turns them into expectations. And once your mind expects something long enough, it begins looking for evidence to prove itself right.
That means if you constantly say, nothing ever works for me, your mind starts searching for reasons to support that belief. If you repeatedly say, I always fail, your attention naturally focuses on every mistake while ignoring every victory. But if you begin saying, every experience is preparing me for something greater, your mind starts searching for opportunities instead of obstacles. The circumstances around you may not change overnight, but the direction of your life begins changing the moment your internal language changes. This is why two people can experience the same setback and walk away with completely different futures. One person says, this is the end. The other says, this is the beginning. The event is identical.
The meaning is different, and the meaning you give to your experiences determines the decisions you make next. Your life is not built one giant decision at a time. It is built one thought at a time, one belief at a time, one conversation at a time. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper on a weak foundation. No matter how beautiful the building looks from the outside, cracks will eventually appear. In the same way, you cannot consistently build a successful life on a foundation of self-doubt. The foundation has to change first. That foundation is your inner dialogue. Some people spend years trying to change their careers while speaking words of defeat every sight. Warning bias.
Others chase financial freedom while constantly declaring that they will never have enough. Many pray for confidence while spending every day reminding themselves of every reason they feel unqualified. Your words are not empty. They are instructions. Every repeated sentence becomes a direction for your focus. Every repeated belief becomes a filter through which you see the world. This is why changing your life always begins by changing the conversation inside your own mind. For the next 3 days, I want you to become aware of something most people never notice. Notice the first sentence you say after making a mistake. Notice the words you choose when something doesn't go according to plan.
Notice what you tell yourself when you look in the mirror. Those moments reveal the program that has been quietly running your life. You don't have to judge yourself. You don't have to feel guilty. You simply have to become aware. Because awareness is where transformation begins. A gardener cannot remove weeds he refuses to see. An architect cannot repair a cracked foundation he refuses to inspect. Likewise, you cannot rewrite your future if you never examine the language creating your present. Today, make a simple commitment. Refuse to become your own greatest critic. Become your own greatest builder. Speak to yourself as someone who is growing, not someone who is finished.
Speak to yourself as someone who is learning, not someone who is defeated. Speak to yourself as someone with purpose, not someone controlled by fear. Because every powerful life begins with a powerful belief. And every powerful belief begins with a single sentence repeated until it becomes part of who you are. The next 3 days are not about pretending your problems don't exist. They are about refusing to let your problems become your identity. They are about choosing words that move you forward instead of words that keep you standing still. And in the next part, you'll discover why your brain follows the language you repeat every truth, and how a few intentional sentences can begin changing the direction of your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your future. Have you ever wondered why two people can hear the exact same advice, attend the same seminar, read the same book, and yet one transforms completely while the other remains exactly the same? The difference is not intelligence. It is not education. It is not talent. The difference is the conversation happening inside their minds after the lesson is over. Knowledge by itself never changes a person. It is the words you repeatedly attach to that knowledge that determine whether it becomes wisdom or remains information.
Think about your mind for a moment. It is constantly listening. It never takes a break, even while you are sitting quietly. Your brain is processing thousands of thoughts every single hour. Most of those thoughts are not new. They are simply echoes of yesterday, repeated so many times that they feel like permanent truth. But what if they are not truth at all? What if they are simply habit? A habit repeated long enough begins to look like reality. If every morning you tell yourself that life is difficult, eventually your brain stops questioning that statement. It accepts it. It organizes your attention around it. It begins highlighting every difficult situation while ignoring every opportunity standing right in front of you. Not because opportunities disappeared, but because your mind was never instructed to look for them. Your brain is always following instructions. The question is, who is giving those instructions? Every time you speak to yourself, you are programming your focus. When you say, nothing is changing, your mind starts collecting proof. When you say, I never get lucky, your attention begins searching for disappointment. When you say, people don't believe in me, your brain notices every rejection while overlooking every person who supports you. This is why your words are so powerful. They become filters. Imagine wearing a pair of glasses with dark gray lenses. After a few hours, you would begin believing the world itself had become darker. The problem would not be the world. The problem would be the lens. Your words are those lenses. They determine how you interpret every event, every conversation, every challenge, and every opportunity. Now imagine replacing those lenses. Suddenly, the same world looks different. Nothing outside has changed, but everything inside has. This is exactly how transformation begins. Not by changing your address, not by changing your job, not by waiting for someone else to rescue you. It begins by changing the language that shapes your perception. Successful people are not successful because they never experience fear. They simply refuse to let fear become the loudest voice in their minds. They understand something most people never discover. Your mind cannot move confidently toward the future your words constantly reject. If every dream is followed by the sentence, but it probably won't happen, you have already weakened your own potential. If every opportunity is followed by, I'm probably not good enough, your energy begins shrinking before you even take the first step. The greatest battles in life are rarely fought in public. They are fought in private. They happen in silence. They happen in those moments when nobody is watching. That is where victories are born. Because every public achievement first wins a private conversation. For the next 3 days, I want you to become aware of every sentence that begins with, I can't, I'm always, I never. Those three phrases have limited more dreams than failure itself. The moment you hear yourself saying them, stop. Do not criticize yourself. Simply replace them. I can't becomes I am learning. I'm always unlucky becomes I recognize new opportunities every day. I never succeed becomes every experience is making me stronger and wiser. Notice something important. You are not pretending life is perfect. You are choosing language that creates movement instead of limitation. Growth always begins with movement. Your brain loves repetition. The more often you repeat a thought, the easier it becomes to believe. That works in both directions. Negative repetition creates limiting beliefs. Positive repetition creates empowering beliefs. The principle never changes. Only the message changes. This is why the next 3 days matter so much. You are interrupting an old cycle. You are teaching your mind a new pattern. At first it may feel uncomfortable. Your old beliefs may resist. That is completely normal. Every meaningful change feels unfamiliar before it becomes natural. Do not mistake unfamiliarity for failure. The moment something feels different, many people quit. But different is often the first sign that something new is being built.
Keep speaking. Keep replacing. Keep reminding yourself of who you are becoming instead of who you used to be.
Because every sentence you repeat is laying another brick in the foundation of your future. And in the next part, you're going to discover why emotion gives your words extraordinary power, and how speaking with conviction can transform ordinary affirmations into life-changing beliefs. There is something even more powerful than the words you speak. It is the emotion behind those words. A sentence spoken without belief is only a collection of sounds. But a sentence spoken with conviction becomes a message that reaches the deepest parts of your pulse. Think about the moments that changed your life. Maybe someone encouraged you when you were ready to give up. Maybe someone believed in you before you believed in yourself. Maybe one sentence stayed with you for years. It wasn't only because of the words, it was because of the emotion attached to them. Your mind remembers emotional experiences far more deeply than ordinary ones. That is why a single painful comment from years ago can still echo in your thoughts today. It wasn't just spoken, it was felt. Now imagine using that same principle in your favor. Imagine speaking words that don't merely pass through your ears. Imagine speaking words that reach every part of your being. That is where real transformation begins. Every morning, people repeat affirmations while thinking about everything else. Their mouths are moving, but their hearts are disconnected. Their words have no life. The subconscious responds to certainty. It responds to feeling. It responds to repetition filled with emotion. Picture an athlete standing moments before the biggest competition of their life. Do you think they whisper to themselves with doubt? No. They stand taller. They breathe deeper. They remember every hour of preparation. Then they tell themselves, I am ready. Those three words carry power because they are backed by conviction. The same principle applies to your life. When you say, I am becoming stronger, don't rush through the sentence. Pause. Feel what strength means. Picture yourself remaining calm under pressure. Picture yourself making wise decisions. Picture yourself refusing to quit. Allow your imagination to support your words, because your imagination is one of the greatest gifts you have been given. Everything that exists today existed in someone's imagination first. Every building, every invention, every business, every masterpiece, someone saw it internally before it appeared externally. Your future works the same way. If you cannot consistently imagine yourself becoming better, your actions will continue protecting the person you have always been. But once your inner picture begins to change, your decisions begin to change. Your habits begin to change. Your confidence begins to grow. Imagine planting a seed in rich soil. Every day you water it, you protect it, you expect it to grow. You don't dig it up every morning to check if it is working. You trust the process. Yet many people do exactly that with personal growth. They speak powerful words today, then tomorrow they say, nothing is happening. The next day, this doesn't work. Before the seed has time to grow, they abandon it. Growth requires consistency, not perfection. You don't need perfect words. You need faithful repetition. Every time you choose courage instead of fear, you strengthen a new mental pathway. Every time you replace doubt with possibility, you reinforce a healthier belief. Every time you refuse to insult yourself after making a mistake, you weaken years of negative conditioning. Do not underestimate small victories. A single drop of water appears insignificant, but thousands of drops can carve through solid rock. One encouraging sentence may seem small. Repeated hundreds of times, it becomes part of your identity. Identity is powerful because people rarely perform beyond the person they believe themselves to be. If you believe you are weak, your actions will quietly protect that identity. If you believe you are capable, your behavior gradually rises to match it. This is why changing your identity is more important than chasing temporary motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Identity remains. Instead of saying, I want to become disciplined, begin saying, I am becoming a disciplined person. Instead of saying, I hope I become confident, say, confidence is growing inside me every single day. Notice the difference. One statement waits. The other statement moves. One depends on circumstances. The other creates direction.
Your mind follows direction, not hesitation. So speak with confidence, stand with confidence, breathe with confidence. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have decided your future will no longer be controlled by yesterday's beliefs. Remember this, the strongest prison is not made of iron. It is made of repeated thoughts accepted without question. The strongest key is not found outside you. It is found in the words you consistently choose to believe. Today, you are holding that key. Use it.
Open the door that fear has kept locked for years. Walk away from the identity that no longer serves you. Step into the person you were created to become, because the conversation you continue today will become the character you display tomorrow. And in the next part, we're going to discover how your daily environment, your habits, and the people around you either strengthen your new identity or quietly pull you back into your old one. There is something even more powerful than the words you speak. It is the emotion behind those words. A sentence spoken without belief is only a collection of sounds, but a sentence spoken with conviction becomes a message that reaches the deepest parts of your yes.
Think about the moments that changed your life. Maybe someone encouraged you when you were ready to give up. Maybe someone believed in you before you believed in yourself. Maybe one sentence stayed with you for years. Why? It wasn't only because of the words. It was because of the emotion attached to them. Your mind remembers emotional experiences far more deeply than ordinary ones. That is why a single painful comment from years ago can still echo in your thoughts today. It wasn't just spoken, it was felt. Now imagine using that same principle in your favor. Imagine speaking words that don't merely pass through your ears. Imagine speaking words that reach every part of your being. That is where real transformation begins.
Every morning, people repeat affirmations while thinking about everything else. Their mouths are moving, but their hearts are disconnected. Their words have no life. Your subconscious responds to certainty. It responds to feeling. It responds to repetition filled with emotion. Picture an athlete standing moments before the biggest competition of their life. Do you think they whisper to themselves with doubt? No. They stand taller. They breathe deeper. They remember every hour of preparation. Then they tell themselves, I am ready. Those 3 words carry power because they are backed by conviction. The same principle applies to your life. When you say, I am becoming stronger, don't rush through the sentence. Pause. Feel what strength means. Picture yourself remaining calm under pressure. Picture yourself making wise decisions. Picture yourself refusing to quit. Allow your imagination to support your words, because your imagination is one of the greatest gifts you have been given. Everything that exists today existed in someone's imagination first. Every building, every invention, every business, every masterpiece. Someone saw it internally before it appeared externally. Your future works the same way. If you cannot consistently imagine yourself becoming better, your actions will continue protecting the person you have always been. But once your inner picture begins to change, your decisions begin to change, your habits begin to change. Your confidence begins to grow. Imagine planting a seed in rich soil. Every day you water it. You protect it. You expect it to grow. You don't dig it up every morning to check if it is working. You trust the process. Yet many people do exactly that with personal growth. They speak powerful words today, then tomorrow they say, nothing is happening. The next day, this doesn't work. Before the seed has time to grow, they abandon it. Growth requires consistency, not perfection. You don't need perfect words. You need faithful repetition. Every time you choose courage instead of fear, you strengthen a new mental pathway. Every time you replace doubt with possibility, you reinforce a healthier belief. Every time you refuse to insult yourself after making a mistake, you weaken years of negative conditioning. Do not underestimate small victories. A single drop of water appears insignificant, but thousands of drops can carve through solid rock. One encouraging sentence may seem small. Repeated hundreds of times, it becomes part of your identity. Identity is powerful because people rarely perform beyond the person they believe themselves to be. If you believe you are weak, your actions will quietly protect that identity. If you believe you are capable, your behavior gradually rises to match it. This is why changing your identity is more important than chasing temporary motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Identity remains. Instead of saying, I want to become disciplined, Begin saying, I am becoming a disciplined person. Instead of saying, I hope I become confident, say, confidence is growing inside me every single day. Notice the difference. One statement waits, the other statement moves. One depends on circumstances. The other creates direction. Your mind follows direction, not hesitation. So speak with confidence. Stand with confidence. Breathe with confidence. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have decided your future will no longer be controlled by yesterday's beliefs. Remember this. The strongest prison is not made of iron. It is made of repeated thoughts accepted without question.
The strongest key is not found outside you. It is found in the words you consistently choose to believe. Today, you are holding that key. Use it. Open the door that fear has kept locked for years. Walk away from the identity that no longer serves you. Step into the person you were created to become, because the conversation you continue today will become the character you display tomorrow. And in the next part, we're going to discover how your daily environment, your habits, and the turn people around you either strengthen your new identity or quietly pull you back into your old. 1. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to stay positive for a few minutes, but incredibly difficult to maintain that same mindset throughout an entire day?
That is not because you are weak. It is because your environment is constantly speaking to you. Every conversation, every social media post, every headline, every complaint you listen to, every opinion you accept, they all become part of the conversation taking place inside your mind. Whether you realize it or not, your environment is programming your expectations. This is why two people can wake up with the same amount of potential and end the day with completely different levels of energy. One spends the day around people who speak about opportunities. The other spends the day around people who speak only about problems. One mind expands, the other contracts. The words surrounding you eventually become the words within you.
Think about a seed planted in two different places. One grows in fertile soil where it receives sunlight, water, and protection. The other struggles in dry ground surrounded by rocks and weeds. The seed itself is not the problem. The environment determines how much of its potential is revealed. Your life follows the same principle. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, criticism, and hopelessness, eventually those voices begin sounding like your own. At first you hear them from others. Then you begin repeating them to yourself. Finally, you start believing they have always been your own thoughts. This is why protecting your mind is not optional. It is essential.
Guard your thoughts the same way you would guard something priceless, because that is exactly what they are. Every morning, before the world has a chance to tell you who you are, remind yourself of who you have decided to become. Do not allow the opinions of people who have never lived your purpose to define your identity. Some people will always doubt you, not because you lack potential, but because your growth challenges their comfort. When you begin thinking differently, speaking differently, and acting differently, don't expect everyone to celebrate. Some people are comfortable with the version of you that required nothing from them. Growth often makes other people uncomfortable. Do not mistake their discomfort for your limitation.
Remember this, an eagle cannot spend its life asking chickens for permission to fly. It simply rises higher. Your responsibility is not to convince everyone. Your responsibility is to remain faithful to your purpose. There will be days when your old mindset tries to return. A single disappointment, one unexpected setback, one difficult conversation, and suddenly the old voice whispers, "See, nothing has changed." When that happens, stop immediately. Take one deep breath. Do not allow one moment to define the entire day. A flat tire does not mean you abandon the journey. One mistake does not erase your progress. One bad day does not cancel your future. Speak to yourself with wisdom. Tell yourself, this moment is temporary. I remain focused. I remain calm. I continue moving forward. Those simple words interrupt the cycle before it gains momentum. Your habits matter just as much as your words. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. Each morning, you choose discipline. You strengthen your future. Each evening, you choose growth instead of excuses. You reinforce your identity. Success is rarely created by one extraordinary decision. It is created by ordinary decisions repeated consistently. One page read every day. One workout completed. One healthy choice. One encouraging conversation. One promise kept to yourself. Small actions become powerful when they are repeated long enough. Never underestimate consistency.
A river does not become powerful because of one wave. It becomes powerful because it never stops flowing. Likewise, your transformation is not determined by one motivational moment. It is determined by what you continue doing after the inspiration fades. There will be mornings when you don't feel confident. Speak with confidence anyway. There will be evenings when you feel discouraged. Choose hope anyway. There will be moments when your progress seems invisible. Remain faithful anyway. Because the greatest transformations are happening beneath the surface long before they become visible to the world. The roots of a mighty tree grow underground long before anyone admires its height. Your roots are growing right now. Every disciplined decision strengthens them. Every positive word deepens them. Every challenge you overcome expands them. Trust what is happening beneath the surface. One day, people will look at your life and call you successful. They will admire your confidence. They will praise your discipline. They will celebrate your achievements. But they will never fully see the thousands of private conversations that built the person standing before them. They won't see the mornings you chose faith over fear, the nights you refused to quit, the moments you spoke hope while everything around you suggested giving up. Those unseen moments are where greatness is born. Character is not created when people are watching. Character is revealed when nobody is. So continue protecting your mind. Continue choosing your words carefully. Continue building habits that align with the future you desire. Because every decision you make today is introducing you to the person you will become tomorrow. And in the next part, we're going to explore the greatest obstacle to personal transformation, fear, and discover how changing the way you speak to fear can completely change the direction of your life. There is one enemy that has stopped more dreams than lack of talent, more than lack of education, more than lack of opportunity. That enemy is fear. Not the fear you can see, not the fear that announces itself loudly, but the quiet fear that hides behind ordinary thoughts. The fear that whispers, what if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? Those questions have kept millions of people standing at the edge of greatness without ever taking the first step. Think about this. Fear rarely arrives looking dangerous. It usually arrives looking reasonable. It tells you to wait a little longer, to prepare a little more, to start next month, to begin after everything feels perfect. But perfection is a destination that never arrives. If you keep waiting until you feel completely ready, you may spend your entire life preparing for a future you never enter. Every successful person has experienced fear. The difference is not the absence of fear. The difference is the decision to keep moving despite it. Courage is not the opposite of fear. Courage is choosing your purpose over your fear. Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain. From where you stand, the distance looks impossible. Your mind immediately begins calculating every risk, every reason to stay where you are, every possible failure. But something remarkable happens the moment you take the first step. The mountain doesn't become smaller. You become stronger. Confidence is never built by thinking. It is built by acting. Action teaches your mind what endless thinking never can. Every step forward becomes evidence that you are more capable than your fears suggested. That is why fear loses its power every time you move. Your brain is constantly collecting proof about who you are. If your actions repeatedly say, I avoid difficult things, your mind concludes, I must not be capable. But when your actions repeatedly say, I face challenges anyway, your mind begins creating a completely different identity. This is why your words and your actions must work together. Do not simply say, I am fearless. Instead say, I act with courage even when fear is present. That statement gives your mind permission to move without demanding perfection. Remember this truth. Fear speaks in possibilities. Faith speaks in decisions. Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Faith says, I will find a way. Fear focuses on obstacles. Faith focuses on solutions. Whichever voice you strengthen becomes the direction your life follows. There will always be uncertainty.
No one has complete control over tomorrow, but you have complete control over the words you choose today. Those words determine the quality of your decisions, and your decisions determine the quality of your future. Think about an airplane. It doesn't wait for the wind to disappear before taking off. It generates enough power to rise above it. Your life works the same way. You don't need a life without challenges. You need a mindset strong enough to rise above them. Every challenge carries two voices. One says, "This is too much." The other says, "This is making me stronger."
Both voices describe the same moment, but only one creates growth. Which voice will you choose? From this day forward, whenever fear appears, refuse to argue with it. Do not waste energy trying to eliminate every doubt. Instead, answer fear with a greater truth. When fear says, "You are too late," answer, "My journey begins exactly where I am." When fear says, "You don't have enough experience," answer, "Every expert was once a beginner." When fear says, "You will fail," answer, "Every lesson moves me closer to success." Notice something important. You are no longer allowing fear to have the final word. You are taking back authority over your own mind. That is real freedom. Freedom is not the absence of problems. Freedom is refusing to let problems control your identity. The strongest people in the world are not those who never fall. They are those who refuse to stay on the ground. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every delay becomes preparation. Every obstacle becomes another opportunity to grow. Adopt this mindset and watch what happens. The situations around you may remain difficult for a season, but your response will become stronger. And eventually, a stronger response creates a different result. Never underestimate the power of one courageous decision. One phone call can change your career. One conversation can restore a relationship. One application can open a new door. One idea can transform your future. None of those moments happen if fear keeps you standing still. So stop asking whether you are ready. Start asking whether you are willing, because willingness creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates consistency. And consistency creates extraordinary lives. Today, make a promise to yourself. No longer will fear decide what dreams you pursue. No longer will doubt become the loudest voice in your mind. No longer will yesterday's failures define tomorrow's possibility. Instead, you will speak with purpose. You will act with courage. You will continue moving even when the path is uncertain, because every step you take is becoming proof that you are stronger than the fears you once believed. And in the final talk, you'll discover how to turn these 3 days into a lifelong transformation, ensuring that your new mindset doesn't fade with time, but becomes the foundation of everything you achieve from this day forward. Now you have reached the most important part of this transformation, because knowing something is not the same as becoming something. Many people collect information their entire lives. They listen to motivational speeches. They read powerful books. They watch videos that inspire them. For a few moments, they feel unstoppable. But then life happens. A challenge appears. A disappointment arrives. A difficult day comes. And slowly they return to the same old patterns. Why does this happen? Because inspiration creates a moment, but commitment creates a transformation. The purpose of these 3 days was never just to make you feel good. The purpose was to help you understand that you have the ability to influence the most important conversation in your life, the conversation happening inside your own mind. Your future is built through repeated decisions, and those decisions are influenced by your beliefs are influenced by your thoughts, and your thoughts are influenced by the words you allow yourself to repeat. Everything connects. That means every time you choose a better thought, you are creating a better direction. Every time you replace doubt with possibility, you are strengthening a new version of yourself. Every time you choose discipline instead of comfort, you are proving to yourself that change is possible. Transformation does not happen because of one perfect day. It happens because ordinary days are handled differently. The person you become is created in the small moments nobody sees. It is created when you wake up and choose your attitude before the world chooses it for you. It is created when you face a problem and decide not to become the problem. It is created when you fail and choose to learn instead of surrender. That is where your power exists.
Not in controlling everything around you, but in controlling what happens within you. For the next 3 days, continue this practice.
When you wake up, speak words that give your day direction. Do not allow the first thoughts of the morning to be complaints. Do not allow yesterday's mistakes to introduce themselves before your possibilities do. Before you touch your phone, before you check the world around you, speak to yourself. Say, I am growing. I am learning. I am becoming stronger. My challenges are preparing you, not destroying you. My future is built by the choices I make today. These are not empty words. They are reminders of the person you are choosing to become. Throughout the day, pay attention to your internal conversation. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what am I teaching myself in this moment? Am I teaching myself fear? Am I teaching myself defeat? Or am I teaching myself resilience? Because every reaction is a lesson your mind remembers. At night, before you sleep, do not only remember what went wrong, also remember what went right. Celebrate progress. Recognize growth. Acknowledge the small victories. Maybe you stayed calm during a difficult conversation. Maybe you completed something you had been delaying. Maybe you replaced one negative thought with a positive one. Those moments matter. A person is not transformed by one giant achievement. A person is transformed by thousands of small choices that eventually create a new identity. Never underestimate the power of consistency. A single brick does not look like a building, but brick after brick, day after day, the structure appears. Your life is being built the same way. Every thought is a brick. Every habit is a brick. Every word you speak to yourself is a brick. The question is, what kind of life are you building with them? Are you building a prison made of fear and limitation? Or are you building a foundation strong enough to support your dreams? The choice happens every day, and it happens through the words you choose. Remember this, you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control the meaning you give to what happens. You cannot stop every storm, but you can strengthen yourself so the storm does not control your direction. You cannot predict every challenge, but you can prepare your mind to respond with wisdom and courage. That is true strength. Strength is not pretending life is easy. Strength is knowing that life can be difficult and still believing you have what it takes to move forward. So from this moment, become intentional with your words. Speak to yourself like someone who has a future worth protecting. Speak to yourself like someone who has potential worth developing. Speak to yourself like someone who refuses to give up on their own growth. Because the person you talk to every day is the person you are building. Make sure you are building someone you are proud to become. 3 days may seem small, but every great change begins with a small decision repeated consistently. A seed is small, yet it contains the possibility of a forest. One idea is small, yet it can change generations. One decision is small, yet it can redirect an entire life. Today, that decision is yours. Choose better words. Choose better thoughts. Choose better action. Not because everything is perfect, not because every obstacle has disappeared, but because you have decided that your circumstances will no longer have the final authority over your potential. Your story is still being written. Your next chapter has not been completed. The mistakes of yesterday are not the limits of tomorrow. The fears you carried are not the definition of who you are. You are always becoming. You are always learning. You are always capable of growth. So walk into the next day with awareness. Protect your mind. Choose your words carefully. And remember, the most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Make it a conversation that creates courage. Make it a conversation that creates confidence. Make it a conversation that creates the future you desire. Your transformation does not begin someday. It begins with the very next word you choose. Speak wisely. Speak with purpose. Speak with belief. Because the future you are waiting for is being built by the voice you listen to today.